We have a quorum. It's Wednesday, November 12th at 4 p.m. We can just launch it.
Well, you gotta make sure there's no visitor communications.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, but just,
Yes, there are there any visitor communications?
doesn't look like there's
Usual
necessarily any on
suspects.
Zoom either.
None on Zoom.
Oh, yeah, we're the only two participants. Approval of minutes. Anyone want to? I move that we approve the minutes, but anyone want to second? I'll second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then we can launch right into this presentation.
All right, I'll start with some introductory comments. I'm Matthew Martin with the City Planning Division. I'm joined by John Champlin with our consultant NV5, working on this new Northwest Park Master Plan. Just here to provide you an update and get some additional feedback from you as the project's progressed. Met with you on September 3rd. I was absent that day, I apologize, but since then, we've met with City Council and also conducted an open forum with the community in October to share the three concepts, the three conceptual design alternatives that were presented in September to get your feedback on that date, City Council, and then from the community at large. And so since then, John and his project team, along with staff, have been meeting and refining the overall design of the project, building off of the comments that we received and the kind of understanding the site more. And what's he's presenting to you today is a draft design concept, working towards the preferred design concept that will be presented to City Council later on for consideration. So I'll leave it at that and hand it over to John to take it away.
All right. Thank you, Matt. Yeah, you have kind of already given a debrief there of kind of where we've been over the past couple of months. But moving forward, the ideas that we will take this draft design for preferred concept, which I do want to reiterate is in draft format. We're still welcoming any and all comments, and we'll incorporate those into the final preferred concept. But the idea is that we were going to take this draft and develop a cost estimate with it once we can come to consensus on final improvements and what we want them to be, and then present that to City Council in January for any final comments. From that point, we'll loop the entire process for the project and all of the meetings and public comments, design iterations. The entire process will be looped into a final report, which will be issued in March is the plan. So with that, I wanted to just briefly touch on the three design alternatives. I know you all saw these 2 months ago, but we have received, in addition to your feedback from early September, we've also received a lot of feedback from the public, in addition to City Council comments as well. Through that process, we identified option C, which was the design concept for interpret, as the one that rose to the top. Various reasons. I would say all three concepts had positive feedback. All three concepts had, maybe not negative feedback, but things that people didn't necessarily like. But really what distinguished option C the most was that people felt it was a better fit for the site, for the location. It is a smaller footprint, both in the structures and in the parking area. And so just, the idea of where it's at in the location, being a gateway into Sisters, being next to single family residential with the Woodlands, the smaller footprint seemed to rise to the top. People also felt that it was a nice mix of improvements, and that the, you know, the nature play, the bouldering, the interpretive pathway, those were all very favorably viewed by most everyone. Things that needed to improve in option C were better access for emergency vehicles to the pavilion, and then including restrooms in the larger pavilion itself, and no bocce. Nobody wanted bocce. But one thing that really that came from the public meeting was a real clear response on trying to keep as many of the existing trees as possible. So that's something that we really looked at in our preferred concept. So moving forward, this is where we are at today, being the draft preferred concept. One thing that you will notice is the pavilion, which is keynote B and C, being one structure. B would be the open air part of the building, and C would be the closed in, fully conditioned space of the building. It's moved more along Barclay Drive intentionally for emergency vehicle access. In relocating the building kind of to this north side, we also have reorganized the parking lot, so that is a full pull through from Canopy Way down to the future Old Growth Way, really providing a really clear vehicular circulation and access from both streets. I think is a big benefit. In terms of pedestrian access, we've really got three kind of key entrances into the park. One being at the far southwest off of Highway 20, and that would connect into a meandering walk that would terminate right at the building entrance. And then there's another entrance off of Old Growth Way, would come up and likewise connect into the building entrance. And then off of Barclay, another primary pedestrian access, as well as off of Canopy Way. The existing sidewalks would continue and access into the site. So really, the pedestrian and the vehicular circulation is really kind of focused on this what we're going to call the building entry plaza. So this is really kind of the heart of circulation and where people are going to be directed to. We'll dig into the architecture a little bit on the next slides. We've developed some concepts for that, but in terms of the remainder of the site, we are carrying forward the idea of a naturescape playground. So natural materials. We do like the idea of showing some sort of fire watchtower theme there. So some sort of structure, elevated platform. Again, carrying forward bouldering. So this would be a series of, the concept is this three sisters bouldering zone. So it would be varying levels of difficulty for the three sisters. So, all the way from beginner all the way up to advanced. And then a sand volleyball pit, which would be keynote F, down in the south side of the site, surrounded by lawn space. So keynote G would be irrigated lawn. So we've got two kind of small patches for irrigated finished lawn. And that's kind of overflow space for what's happening in the park, but also some overflow space for what would be happening in the pavilion as well. Both of those areas include small picnic table pads, so places for people to, informally come and rest and just picnic. Finally, the idea of the interpretive path walk, just meandering through existing tree canopy. One thing to note There are 65 existing trees on site. This plan keeps 48 of those in place. So we're removing 17 trees, but really that's a product of the structure, but also some of the parking. We did our best to align the parking to maintain existing groves of trees. So you can see those here as well as down here. And then also increasing the buffer zone to the single family residential there to the woodlands. This is about a 30-foot distance, and this would be vegetated and, you know, additional space. 30 feet is a pretty good amount of space to kind of buffer that residential. Quickly want to just touch on some character imagery. Many of these are carried forward from option C. In addition to, you know, sand volleyball, the naturescape playground concept, lots of wood, lots of rock, interpretive signage, and then bouldering. Now to the structure, to the pavilion itself. The open air portion, which is kind of shown here in the purple, would be 16,000 square feet. The walled portion would be 2,900 square feet, not including the entry space. Jump forward one slide here. So in terms of the entrance, we like the idea of creating something that would be a little more vertical, that as people are coming to the site, if they haven't been before, by vehicle or by foot or by bicycle, they're going to notice that kind of vertical column of the structure, and naturally just the flow and the circulation is going to draw people into that space. We're also showing a space for rentals. So thinking about ice skating rentals, roller skates, also just any sports equipment that, you know, that people would need, basketballs or paddles or anything for recreation. In addition, a small concessions / ticket booth space. So that would be open to the interior entrance, but also the exterior entrance, just kind of giving flexibility to programming and how that would all play out. In the core of the architecture would be where the restrooms are located. We are currently developing some different concepts for how this could lay out. So we're by no means tied to the layout that's shown. We're actually currently looking at how this can be locked off for, you know, internal access, external access. But ultimately what you're seeing here is communal restroom space with the janitor closet, and then individual restroom spaces. A couple of them do include showers, if that were to be desired. But essentially, this could be accessed from the exterior, but also locked off and accessed only from the interior, either or. Facing the pavilion, we would have a bank of day use lockers. So really just a place for somebody to come and, you know, put on their skates, change their shoes, that sort of thing. And then drinking fountains as well. On the far left, this would all be kind of your back of house maintenance, storage. We're going to need space for, you know, mechanical components, chillers for the ice rink, and then just, you know, space for nets, for equipment, you know, thinking about like a small Zamboni. All of that would be located in this left area. And again, this is all going to be dependent on final programming. And so, you know, we're working through that and looking at that now. So that is really the check-in point where we're at right now. It is a work in progress. It is in draft form. So Yeah, with, I guess with that, I would open it up for any comments and questions.
Anyone have any questions right off the bat?
John, this is Doug Buell. Can you go back to the other slide that showed the top view of the facility? Yeah,
This one?
yeah, so the day use lockers, that's open to the pavilion?
It is.
And is the entryway also open?
So we've been talking about this, and we're currently looking at different ideas. So for sure, we would want it to be visually open. It probably would end up being, you know, something more solid along the base, so that we could add some benches, or, you know, maybe a bank of tables or something. But up above, probably a glass wall that would look out. So when you're in this space, you're definitely engaged, and you're looking out into that pavilion, with the option of, you know, potentially, you know, maybe it's a louvered system. It could be opened up, and be open air at certain times.
That would be one suggestion that I would give some serious thought to, is just some kind of curtains or something that could be open as an option.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I think it would be a really nice environment to do that.
Yeah, garage doors, something like, even a roll-up door or something, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is Asa Sarver, just concerned when I see 300 square feet of storage and you want to put a Zamboni in. Zambonis don't come in small. That's just not a function of Zambonis. I've seen them attached to a tractor where the Zamboni's small, but then you still need a tractor.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just
Yeah.
wondering about storage. When you say small Zamboni, what are you thinking? With 300 feet, and if you're looking at court equipment along with ice rink equipment, 300 feet has gone real fast.
Yeah, honestly, it's a really good comment, and I've been working with our architect as well on this, and I kind of see the storage and the mechanical space flexing a little bit. We also have a, you know, almost 300 square feet for park maintenance. Um, a lot of that could be off-site, you know, thinking about mowers and rakes and that sort of thing. And so really this whole space back here is going to become a function of, you know, final programming. We're looking at the option for Zambonis, and, you know, if we do ultimately get to a point where the ice rink is financially feasible, you know, if the pavilion does prove to be financially feasible, what the Zamboni is going to become. Obviously, you know, you've got the big ones, but our research, you know, we have noticed there are some smaller units that could be used. So we probably need to really define that to inform our spatial planning for that.
And with ice, you shave off a layer of ice and you have to put it somewhere. So I'm just saying, I don't know where that is in this footprint, but. Right, exactly.
No one's gonna get that. No. It's true.
Just something to think about is waste.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a very good comment. That's really all that, you know, that's all good information that we need to develop, frankly. We haven't quite gotten to that level of detail, to be honest with you, but it's all very good.
Cool.
My question is for staff, has parks Public Works looked at this and said, we don't need that much storage space? Are you collecting from the main storage?
I don't think we need a dedicated park maintenance. Our park maintenance is a mobile unit, it's all on a trailer, ready to go. So I think that space can definitely be better utilized for something else. As far as ice dumping, I've seen like at the Bend Pavilion, it's directly underneath the Zamboni parking. And they have like melting coils in there, and then it just drains away into the wastewater system. So it doubles as parking and waste disposal. Like that.
Snowman building.
Like an oil change place where there's the
Ice-
big space underneath.
And what about all the bathrooms? Have you guys weighed in on all the bathrooms and showers and maintenance and?
Not really consider that one.
Yeah,
We do contract out for restroom maintenance. So that would probably go into that contract.
Yeah, I was curious, you kind of touched on it, John, hi, this is Emily, and what is the reality of this being an ice rink in the winter? Cause in our last meeting, we had some, discussion around, is it worth it if it's not gonna be a full sheet? Who's gonna maintain it? And so I'm just wondering where we're at, is it kind of where you're gonna price it out and then the city's gonna decide if it's doable?
Yes, essentially the answer is yes.
Okay.
Our goal, let me jump to the plan. Our goal is, and we're right now doing this in the background, developing basically a rough order of magnitude for the cost of what the entire project would be, but specifically, what's it going to take to even build this pavilion with the multi-season component? Sport courts in the summer and shoulder season, an ice rink in the winter. And, ultimately, if that does not, if the project does not prove to be feasible for a pavilion, we would then be looking at, what does this space become? Is it a very dialed back pavilion? Is it really just more of a open air, sport court space, with a few restrooms? At that point, we would really start to explore, what it becomes if it's not really what you're seeing.
I understand, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a wall? Is it a wall pavilion or are you not even to that stage? I'm noticing the northwest end is open. That's where most of our weather comes from, wind and rain and, yeah. So I'm just wondering if we have high winds, which we often do, how are we protecting the facility and people?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would be an interchangeable wall system. So could be open air, could be closed off and conditioned during those, inclement weather seasons, winter really. Our understanding too is that once we do have the ice, we really probably do need to close it off, just to keep temperatures lower. You get the temperature fluctuations in the wintertime, and even with the chillers, it's better to keep it more of a closed environment. So something that could be open but also closed.
I'm curious, is the city planning on managing this part, or are we planning on asking SPRB to manage rentals, court use?
Yeah, that's to be discussed, but we are meeting with Parks and Rec District Board in December to begin those conversations about what that relationship's gonna be. So I think it's gonna end up being a partnership with overall park facility maintenance handled by the city, programming and other aspects being managed and conducted by the Parks District, depending on what ends up being.
So if the city manages it, it could be a profit center like. Like our RV park. But SBRD is a nonprofit organization, just. Pointing out the two different concepts there.
I'm not following. You would be if it turns a profit, it would be profitable for any entity.
Right, that's true,
Yeah, and
But I'm
the
just
city
saying,
would
like-
have a smaller slice if they subbed it out to
exactly,
Spur. Or subsidy.
fair enough.
Well, and I would add from a council perspective that while the campground makes quote a profit, that goes back into the general fund that's used to fund parks and recreation. That's how a lot of our parks are maintained. A big chunk of our money comes from that. And the same thing would be with SBRD, would be managing that they would want to look at fees that at least recoup their costs.
Right,
And we want to be looking at fees that recoup the cost of maintenance of the facility on top of that. So it's very tricky. But
yeah,
it can be done. I saw it done in the land line and other locations. We use pool facilities all the time and agreements to do that.
I'm so long way off, but.
Yes, yes. No, it's a very good question.
It's in the details of what those agreements are.
It's a very good-
Yeah,
it's a very good question.
Yeah, and that makes me wonder if the concept you have here is what ends up happening with the ice and the covered courts and the rentals, how many FTEs is it gonna take to just day in, day out run this? With concessions and rentals?
Seasonal.
All good
Yeah,
questions.
that's a good. Anybody ready to answer that? I don't think, but maybe at that point. Great question, absolutely. John, you have some feedback?
I'm sorry, I couldn't quite make out the question there, sorry.
Oh, sorry, no, it was just around how many FTEs is it gonna take, or how many employees is it gonna take full-time or part-time to maintain, run the concession area, the rentals, the ticketing? And then, of course, there's the park maintenance itself, but I'm just wondering how many people are paid employees are gonna be on site. You know, Monday, well, 7 days a week, probably.
That is a very good question. And I would think it would really depend on probably demand. So, knowing, if when the ice is open, Friday, Saturday night, you're gonna have to staff up. But, middle of the day on a Tuesday, in the summer, it's probably maybe one person. But yeah, it's something we need to explore for sure.
I've played sand volleyball and it's super fun and I love that there's a court here. I don't know if you're gonna be providing volleyballs, but make sure you got enough budget for that, because you're gonna lose some. They're gonna go over to the Rays and to people's front yards.
Definitely. Yeah, I don't know if we'd be providing them or just, count on people bringing their own, but, yeah, I do imagine that if we're looking at a facility like this, that we would keep some equipment and, balls and things, available.
Anyone else have any questions? It looks great.
Comments
you
you
know,
wanna pass on to council?
well, I mean, everyone knows my argument for
Argument
a whole sheet of ice. But,
Yeah.
but I mean, this is a nice add to Sisters and the community. I don't think it does anything for bringing people to Sisters.
I think as ice rink any size would help with the winter piece, but I'm like you, I'm disappointed that it's not going to be.
Well, and I do agree that it's not the right spot. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just not big enough. So I mean, if pickleball gets involved, it'll be pickleball year round, so just something else to think about.
I didn't mean to open up like that can of worms, but you mentioned sort of contingency planning for what if for any reason an ice rink isn't preferred or feasible or whatever, like how flexible is this pavilion designed to accommodate like all seasons, like hard court sports? Like if we wanted to have access to basketball or volleyball through the winter. You mentioned like a maybe stripped down or slightly changed design of the pavilion. What might that kind of be like in a nutshell, I guess?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think ultimately your uh, you know, rink mechanical space could be reduced. I think also your restroom count could be uh, pretty reduced because occupancy on a rink is quite a bit more than occupancy on a couple of courts. And even considering rentals, if it's just a few courts, your rentals could be reduced. And probably I would think is going to not be a pay for play scenario. And so, you know, ticketing may not be necessary. I think it would be nice to, keep a setup for ticketing potential just for any types of events, or, if you had a youth basketball tournament, for example, you do want a ticket window and a concession space, but effectively your programmed architecture square footage would be reduced, I think, quite a bit, maybe half of what we're looking at. But could be hardcore setup in the winter time. Especially thinking about the pavilion space being able to be closed off. Maybe it's not 70 degrees in there, but it could be lightly conditioned, fairly comfortable for sports, hardcore sports.
Just generally in other places, like I've seen Austin do this with a few of their basketball courts that are pavilioned off. If we're gonna do a ticketing setup, you could actually have concerts there. You can actually set up a bandstand and standing room only concerts. I know we have lots of festivals here that would definitely benefit from that kind of space as well, especially more higher occupancy. I think that would be a lot of fun. It was like, a few times a year, like during folk festival, things like that. That kind of space would be really good for that.
Yeah, that is a good point. We did get a lot of positive feedback in terms of people want event space and gathering space. I will say with the caveat, when we had our open forum, we showed concept B, which had a permanent stage, and that was not well received. Just thinking about sound amplification, lights at night. And so specific times a day, specific times a year, I think it is it would be a very good location for that, for events.
Yeah, we're just talking about specifically, another use for that space that might be for something else.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yep.
John, I'm wondering so you've talked about like the maximum potential of this space, which would include an ice rink and everything, with maybe 4 or 5 people running and whatnot. And then you downscale to the minimum of, there's maybe a self-running part, that you don't need anybody there to run it, right? At what point do you make the decision? Is that money based? Are you running this to the top and here's the Cadillac version and this is, for example, 5 million? But, we gotta back off now and go down to 3, or how do you determine that? What's the criteria for that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it essentially is going to become funding based. So, Matt might want to chime in here, but my understanding is City Council wants to basically see if this is feasible financially. How can we actually fund it? How can we get it built? but also how can we maintain it? Because we already talked about staffing this. Also, you know, you've got utility costs, you've got cleaning fees, all the above. And so our, we're right in the process of coming up with a rough order of magnitude of, you know, what's this thing actually going to cost? And, how can we get it funded through grants, through SDCs, go bonds, that sort of thing. And so once we have that, we will present that information to city council. And ultimately, I believe it's going to be their decision as to whether the city goes for this, you know, goes for the whole thing, or whether we want to dial it back. And either direction we go, you know, we'll be finalizing our master plan report either way. So you know, we'll include all of that analysis in our report, so it will be there, but we could always look at dialing it back. So if we do get to the point where city council says, you know what, this doesn't look feasible, we'll be issuing our final report, and the city will effectively have both, you know, the Cadillac version and the price for it, and then also the, you know, slimmed down version. So you would have both in your hands.
But you captured it well.
Yeah.
That's where, and kind of going back to the original charge given to us by the city council was to develop a master plan and explore the feasibility of an ice rink pavilion at this location. And so we're going to work that all the way through this kind of development refinement process, all the way up to, we get some cost analysis, the site constraints analysis, and look to council to say, is this palatable? Do we see opportunities, pathways to get this funded, and then kind of work our way back from either stay at Cadillac or work our, you know, start stripping some options from it. So,
And I think I would say to the folks on this room too, that should council decide, yeah, we'd like to see something there, but this isn't it. There'll probably be a lot, way too much direction from many different people about what that might or might not be. And then I don't know, we would, I'm presuming we would go back to our consultants and look at a different footprint or different plan based upon what we might be able to do if we weren't looking at some of the things we're talking about. Certainly, and we've heard this here, that the parts, that the enclosed areas could look extremely different if we weren't doing some large events. I noticed we had a quite generous entry area, which would accommodate large crowds, but if you have the onesies, twosies, that's an awful lot of space. You know, so when you start looking at other things you could program and do in there, and SPRD will be a part of that discussion as well, because I can tell you from a council perspective, I don't think that I want to see the city running recreational programs. It's not what we do. It's not what we do well. We do a lot of other things very well. We have a partner in this town that does it very well. And so what they tell us will probably have a lot to do with what we may be thinking, just for the benefit of folks here. I'll have my input on the design when come before the council.
Yeah. So on that note, being mindful of time as we have another agenda time or agenda item.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, John, for joining us. Just wanted to kind of reiterate that we're going to city council next week on Wednesday with a similar presentation, similar kind of iterative feedback, meeting with council and SPRD in December, and continuing to refine the project, ultimately to bring it back with the preferred alternative to council January, perhaps, but we'll certainly keep you informed on progress and opportunities to continue to participate. So thanks for your time tonight. Appreciate it. Thanks, John.
Yes, thank you all.
Appreciate it.
Okay,
Thank you.
bye.
All right, so we have what time is that city council meeting?
What time is it?
Yeah, Wednesday.
Five
Next
thirty.
Wednesday?
I haven't seen the agenda to see what time we're starting.
Probably then.
I'll double check.
Are we gonna be workshopping it?
It's workshop.
So it'll be on the first, it'll be at the beginning of the meeting, which would be either 5 or 5:30.
Oh, the beginning, I like that.
Yeah, 'cause it's a workshop. It'll give you an opportunity, it's free form discussion, so it's not formal.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
5:30 start time.
5:30 start.
Thank you.
It varies depending on what we have, sometimes it's 5. That works for you, doesn't it?
It's not, yeah, I don't have it, it'll get. But that's a full-time job too. Okay, dog park at Sisters Gateway Park.
Yeah, just, so just kind of short little introduction, I'll quickly turn it over to Jackson Dumont, our, Public Works Operations Manager, but. If you'll recall, I don't know if it was about a year ago or so, maybe a little longer, that we had the conversation, perhaps maybe before some of you got on the committee, that, kind of had its roots in the, Parks Master Plan, that we completed in 23, that, called for a dog park. I didn't know where in the community we were gonna put it. And so we ran some different options by the board and also worked with council. And I think we ultimately decided that at the time was East Portal, now Sisters Gateway Park was gonna be the location. So I think Jackson has some updated news on that in terms of different layout options as we start envisioning construction of this dog park. So with that, Jackson, take it away.
Evening board members, Scott, thank you for the introduction. So yes, we have a new park, Sisters Gateway Park, a mobility hub. Is currently open, we have a ribbon cutting ceremony next week, Monday. Be there. So, the site, it's already well suited for travelers as a rest stop amenity, traveling, through town. Get up, stretch your legs, use the restroom. This would be that opportunity for those travelers to utilize that for their dogs as well, for them to use the restroom and stretch their legs. Controlled environments. We know that we're surrounded by national forests. Not a lot of folks are comfortable with their dogs off leash out there, so this would be an opportunity for them to let their dogs run a little bit. I think Scott's pulling up.
I'll try to get it up here.
Thank you.
Huh?
We'll all be on the Zoom.
Well, we're not on Zoom. I'm gonna get it, then pull it up. I think. Unless there's a better way.
How about this? I'm going
You
to.
keep talking, Jackson.
Okay.
So get
Full time.
the eyes off of me. Okay, I'm gonna go back to Zoom. There, and hopefully.
Apologies. So.
Okay.
Though small in size, we think it's an adequate size for a dog park. Basic amenities, airlock style entry, dog waste bag dispenser and trash bin. I think the designer envisioned something like a stick library, like a little free library for their dogs.
I did see them, they're very popular.
Oh.
My little feet sticks.
Water fountain, both for humans and canines with a little lower foot operated. There, you can see it there.
That good?
Right, yeah, that's perfect.
Okay.
Bulletin board for the community. So, basic amenities for a dog park. Does keep some space between the fence line and the community labyrinth. I want to say at least 5 feet. Room for them. I know that was something that the community labyrinth committee was interested in, not having that right up against their labyrinth. So I think from the board, we're pretty much looking for your input on the 3 different options. The 3 different variations are largely centered around where that entry location is. Option A has entry location coming from the informational kiosk that is currently on site and original to the site. Option B has the entry point further to the south off of the perimeter multi-use path. Option C has an entry point from the RV, dump and fill station. Would love to hear what the board thinks.
I'll jump.
Go ahead.
I like option A, one, because it's a logical entrance for, coming off the parking area. It separates, when you walk in, you go, okay, I gotta let my dog off leash, what am I gonna do? It separates it some from the drinking fountain, so you don't have just a cluster right there. It seems to be a little further away from the entrance to the labyrinth, which is their concern, so that's great. If you use option option B, I think you're just gonna have people trampling all over the landscape and the labyrinth, and it should just be completely taken off. My only other concern is it going to be year-round water supply in there? Is it gonna be seasonally adjusted with frost? And who's maintaining the bulletin board?
I think water would be seasonal. As with the water fountains that are around town, we do winterize those.
Perfect.
Be the safest option.
I'll just throw in another option. I'd like to be, except you made a great point about stomping through everything. My only concern about being right next to the kiosk is not everyone likes dogs. And so if you're right at, and that's the airlock. That's where dogs get loose, gotta go running around. So I guess I kind of like C because it's away from the parking lot for that exact reason that not everyone likes dogs. And then it's not trampling through the labyrinth like an option B.
How heavily is the RV dump station being used? Do you have any?
Increasingly so.
I see at least 2 or 3 there a week when I drive by, and I don't drive by that often.
I think towards the end of the campground season, we were seeing it reaching 50-50 between campground and this location.
There was someone there yesterday when I went by.
And that's
Might have been a hunter or someone like that. It does get used.
And yes, it is year round. We have it winterized, or not winterized, there's a heating element in the backflow device that allows us to keep out from the road.
Is there a charge for it?
12 bucks, 15?
10 to dump, 7 to fill.
Cool. That's great.
Same charge as the campground.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad it's being used.
I like option 1. There's something that the other 2 do that I would like to see option A. There's something that I would like to see option A do that I think B and C do well. And that is has the trash can, dispenser closer to the entrance. That way it encourages people to action. I have been to lots of different dog parks all over the place in my travels with my dog, and it's really easy when you're coming in to grab one and then you just have one ready. I would like to see, I like option A. I would like to see the number 2 moved.
Literally.
Yes,
Yeah.
number 2 moved closer to.
That's the easy one to move.
Perfect,
Yeah.
cool.
I don't have a figure off the top of my head. I do know we have a spare.
The reason I asked how expensive they were.
Right.
Based on your comment,
Mhm.
one in the front, one in the back.
Okay.
I'm just thinking,
There you go, yeah, might as well.
I've been to a lot of dog parks too.
Right.
Yeah,
There are a lot of lazy dog people out there.
there are.
Oh,
Easy to install if there was the need for a second.
Cool,
Easy to do.
okay, easy enough, there you go. What option is?
And for those that aren't really sure what we're talking about when we say a dog stick library. There's an example of one.
Oh, yeah, they pick their.
That's kind of, that's, if you knock on the picnic stick they want, the dog grabs it and runs to the beach. Then there's also one that's very low tech, which is basically a bucket with sticks and tennis balls. It's to take a tennis ball, take a stick, leave a tennis ball, leave a stick kind of thing. So it's very low tech or very sort of cutesy. You can do it either way, but they are pretty common. And dogs like them.
Clearly.
A dog likes nothing better than grab a stick, some other dogs on the slide.
Anyone else have any opinions that they'd like to say about ABC?
And just since you brought up the proximity of A to the information kiosk, like ballpark, how close is it to the kiosk, that entrance today?
From here to the entrance of City Hall. That's not too far.
I want to say that is, less than 10 feet. So where the kiosk, if you're familiar with the site, there's kind of a little gravel area out in front of the kiosk. This would have a path connecting to that, probably no more than 10 feet with the concept.
So it's the historical kiosk, it's not the covered big one. Correct? There's one that
It's already
has a
there.
little storyboard.
Oh, the
And then
storyboard
there's
that
a covered
faces
one.
the mountain.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
close to that
yes,
one.
it'd be closer to that one,
yeah, not the
but
covered
both are
one.
pretty much in that same cluster.
What do you call the other one then? It's,
I just refer to the whole area as the kiosk.
okay.
Is there any plans to cut the trees in there, Jackson, or are you leaving all this?
We would leave the trees, and largely leave it natural. We would probably go in and, do it probably an initial, maybe an annual mow. Just keep weeds at bay. The plan was to leave the trees and the natural shrubs, kind of in place, keep it natural.
I could see either A or C working. Seems like B is more totally opposite of the parking lot, more for people over in the apartments across the street that can come over or from the other neighborhoods. But I'd probably prefer A over C, but either one, I would be, it's fine.
I also like A. I think there is a potential concern with foot traffic and dog traffic, but I think with C, you're gonna have the same issue where people are just gonna park and then they're just gonna walk through the area, however, to get over to the entrance. They're not gonna necessarily come from the RV station. But yeah, I think A makes a lot of sense in terms of, I just showed up here, I need to let my dog out, this is where I go, easy.
Just thinking, another reason I like option A is just in case a dog gets out, they're actually running into the park or into the parking lot and not into the street.
Yeah.
It's very important.
Yeah.
So I think that's another thing that's maybe.
Anyone else have any opinions? Do you have no feedback?
I think I'm hearing option A as a preferred.
Sounds like it.
C being a second, not a lot of.
B being a bad idea.
You have what I need?
B for
Yeah.
bad. Thank you very much. Staff updates?
Sure, yeah, first of all, I'd like to introduce this person sitting next to me, you might be wondering who this is. This is our new associate planner, Sarah Val. And she's done a job for the third week, I think, now.
Yeah.
And she has not run through the building screaming at, which speaks of her ethnic fortitude and ability.
I don't foresee that at all, but
I'll give her a week.
it's a week 4 gift.
She's come from the city of Redmond, and she's got experience and knows Oregon planning law and Central Oregon, and she already has a place to live, that's a bonus.
Karen Sisters.
No,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Oh, you just have a place to live.
Oh,
Okay.
Everybody knows how expensive it is to live here.
Yeah.
Welcome her here, well, she may be coming to Parks Board meetings from time to time, but I've had her. Just you may have heard, I just wanted to give you an update on the UGB. If you haven't been hearing about it.
I did see you getting grilled.
I didn't grill me too bad a lot.
It's like
We
grilling.
grilled each other, right? Gary?
Don't even get me started.
They made a decision, they voted 3-2 to go forward with concept, if you're familiar with AA. You've probably seen it, posted around it, but it's essentially, the area to the east and northeast and a little bit to the southeast, I guess, going down as far south as Highway 126, thank you, Matt.
All the way down to 126.
Yeah, a portion of it goes all the way down to 126. There's four parcels down there, and thinking about incorporating those parcels down there was that at some point there would probably be a need for kind of a separate arterial that would be able to avoid all that new growth having to go through the Locust Avenue roundabout. So the next step in that process is for us to submit an application to the city, to ourselves. Hope it gets approved.
Me
Yeah,
too,
3-2. And then we also simultaneously have to apply to the Deschutes County to their master plan. And so we're working to get that application together, and that will probably be submitted by the end of January. And then hearings potentially taking place next summer. Maybe simultaneously, might even be simultaneous where we get the board and the council in at the same meeting and have them kind of, we would be separate motions, but we would kind of a joint meeting for that.
before elections.
Yeah.
And we have a joint meeting with.
When is that
Board of
election?
County Commissioners tomorrow. Is it,
What's that?
VOCC's tomorrow, correct?
Yeah, we do have a joint meeting with the.
And I'm sure that will be on the agenda.
So, just to clarify, option AA is the smaller. It doesn't include those people that were arguing for.
Does not include the Mackenzie Meadows,
Okay.
parcels.
That's what I just wanted to.
That was.
The way to remember it is it's Alcoholics Anonymous, because the west side of town was gonna start drinking if it was theirs.
Yeah.
So it, someone at the club told me last week. If they've got to approve AA, otherwise the west end of town was going to be
My,
drunks for having to put up with the growing. Yes.
And he got putting up with the
Yeah.
road and the development
Go to
that did 5 years ago.
Yeah. So
That's more growth.
what I'm reading, following the saga of the Nugget, it sounds like there will likely be an appeal then. Is that your expectation?
Well, it's possible.
So-
There's, you talking about appeal of our urban growth boundary amendment?
Yeah, from the Mackenzie Meadows.
They are on record saying that they plan to appeal it. It's, we're still 8 months out from that, so things can change in that time frame, but they have mentioned that.
And if they do, then that just prolongs the process more. but-
good times.
Keep in mind, Mackenzie Meadow was also, prior to any vote, was appealed by Land Watch.
Yes, I'm aware.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a tit for tat going there.
Yeah. Sort of can't win for the city.
It's funny.
Explode.
How much sleep I've had since then.
I can only imagine.
But for parks purposes, we have a lot of 19 acres, somewhere, we don't know where, but for the parks and open space.
It might be more than one,
Maybe,
might be more than one plot.
yeah,
Yeah.
it would be just super park, probably. Super ice rink, It's
All
farmers,
all ice.
The
I
council
mean,
has this
I'm
way to be amended
I
to
am
19 acres.
researching other options. I will let you know. I've talked to Kurt Scholes about putting it on school property. I mentioned I've already talked to Pole Creek Ranch about using their property. I mean, I think the location, if that is the issue, but I think
Oak Creek would be a tough problem in the school district.
you're in the county at that point.
Yeah.
Would be difficult with the zoning out there.
But I'm not saying you shouldn't try. I would give you.
I heard there's a lot of people in the county that are hockey fans. They're just saying, just throwing that out there. Doesn't mean much.
Some that are gonna be.
Just saying.
That are gonna be running for office.
As long as you got a curly sheet on the side, I'm happy.
Oh, there you go. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to change the subject, but,
It's pretty.
and I'm assuming that, well, I heard there's school property in there too, potentially. Yes. Great. Anyone have any questions on on that?
I don't know, commissioners' comments, sections, moving, but.
Okay.
Commissioners.
We don't have someone here from SPRD
Well, she
today?
said she was gonna be out, said she was gonna email her comments, but I guess she didn't get around to that.
Okay.
Saw some people playing pickleball out there.
Yeah, the nets that they were being held up by the problem with the nets, but the nets are not still.
Nice.
I saw them playing today.
That's great. Fantastic. Long time coming. You have some updates from,
No, I think that, well, next time we meet, after council has a chance to look at this and talk about it. There'll be an opportunity, and I think we have at least one new member coming on this group.
But yeah,
Potentially or none, I don't know, but this is the time here when we have turnover on the board, so. It would be good to kind of revisit that anyway, once, if there is a new member, that person comes on. So that gets them up to speed.
yeah,
Speaking of that, does that person wanna make any announcements?
Yeah, that's me.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to be pursuing my seat again. I really enjoyed this. It's been super fun. But there's some really exciting things happening. The Forest Service has approved the STAR project, which is gonna be a bunch of trail building for mountain biking. So I'm hoping to spend more time with STA and Sisters Chapter for that.
So you're not wandering far from the house.
No. I'm
well,
not.
congratulations.
Yeah, did I see something in the paper about that or something?
I think there was something in the bulletin.
Well, yeah, I saw some.
Yeah, so. like, more than a full-time job, I don't have enough time to do it all, so. But it's been great, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
So you'll have at least another new face. Coming on.
Okay, thank you for your service and participation and insightful comments and. Appreciate that, we'll miss you.
Absolutely.
I'm glad to hear you're building trails out there, because that's needed too.
We gotta build more trails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Building and also rerouting and maintaining, correct? It's kind of a three-pronged.
What area does that entail?
So mostly there's gonna be a couple of new trails in the Pearson Ridge area
Oh.
and then over by Black Beaver.
Awesome, very cool.
It's
Yeah,
exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Are we meeting in December after council has their meeting on this?
So
or
we're
we
planning
push
on it, so it'll probably be January, we'll do that.
I would recommend January so that, I mean. This is still at the conceptual stage, we're putting it off till January, it's gonna hurt, and that way you have the new member on board. And welcome them and have them get their feet wet, so they run screaming from the room.
Right. Perfect. Okay, any other business, open discussion? Anyone have anything they want to throw out there?
Just had mentioned that the wayfinding
Oh, yes.
session is happening in the boardroom, that's why we're here today. That signage will impact what we do for parks and things like that, so if you want to stick your head in there and see what's going on, if you have the time, fine, there'll probably be other opportunities to have some input with this, if you're busy tonight.
It is worth checking out. I did come in early and meet with the gentleman that runs it, what what's his.
I don't know, curious.
Anyway, there's a couple of different versions of signs. It's worth looking at.
This is,
It's supposed to go with the flow of who we are, so it's definitely worth putting.
it's something I personally been pushing for on council for quite a while. I've been in other communities traveling around the United States. You can see a good example in Joseph, Oregon, if you ever up there, of what this kind of signage could do, just help tourists find their way around town. And Georgetown, over on the East Coast, has beautiful signage and through there, historical as well as the signage. So the idea is just that we have good signage, but it's a mismatch, and this kind of brings it all together, and that will be carried through on a variety of different things. Well, no,
You don't wanna know how the last iteration came to be.
I don't. want to know. Is there any
Sounds like
is
a
there
story.
Well, if no one has anything else, we can call this meeting adjourned at 5:05. Thank you very much, everyone. It's good to see you all every 2 months.
Yes.
You'll be missed.
Yeah, I'll see you guys. I'll see you around now. I'll be keeping track of